Hi, and welcome to this workshop on using Zotero. Zotero is a free app that allows you to track and manage your research as you do your research, and then it helps you cite and build bibliographies as you write your paper. It's a really handy tool. And so today I'm going to walk you through how to install and set up Zotero, how you can use it to track your research as you are going through the research process, and then how to use it in your word processor to cite your research as you write. So let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is to install Zotero. And to do that, we need to go to their website, zotero.org. So right there, you just click the big download button. And there's two things that you're going to need to install. One is the Zotero program itself. So right here, so it'll automatically choose the right version for your operating system. So you can download that app. And then you need to install a connector for your browser. This allows you to pull information into the Zotero app as you do your research in library catalogs or databases. So you go over here and click Install for your browser. And then one more thing while you're here, after you've installed the app and you've installed the connector, go up here and click on Register and sign up for a free account. A free account will provide you with 300 megabytes of online storage that you can use to back up your Zotero library, as well as to sync your library between devices if you use multiple computers, or you can even access your Zotero library online through your web browser wherever you are. But either way, it's really handy to have that free storage. So now let's get set up. So I already have the Zotero app running and installed. And here we are. And I need to set up some preferences. So I'm on Windows right now, so I'm going to go to Edit. If I was on a Mac, there should be a Zotero application menu up at the top left. You can click on that and choose Preferences. And this is going to bring up all the settings for the app. So there's a couple things I want to do here. Number one is go to the Sync tab. And this is where I can log in with that Zotero account I created on their website to set up the Zotero sync. That'll back up my library and sync it to my other devices. So I'm already logged in here, but you would just log in to set that up. The next thing I want to do is go over to the Cite tab. And there's two subtabs here. The first one is styles. And so these are all the citation styles that Zotero has support installed for. So there usually comes with a lot of them built in, and you can add or delete citation styles that you want to. So American Anthropological Association, I don't think I'm going to use that, so I can delete that. But I'll want to keep, say, Chicago Manual Style or Turabian. I had to install Turabian. So if I want to add a style, there's a link down here, Get Additional Styles. And that'll bring up their style library here. And I can just search for whatever style I need to use. So I can grab Turabian 8th edition, the full note. Since we don't use author date, you need to use that. So I just click that, and that'll install it into my Zotero app for me to use. Also, we have APA style, which our counseling program uses. So there you can get your styles. I can delete a few more just to clean this up a little bit and get the styles that I need. Now the next sub-tab I want to show you is the word processors tab. So Zotero has to install an add-in for it to work with your word processor. Now it should hopefully do this when it does its first run, but if for some reason you need to troubleshoot something, you may need to reinstall the add-in. You can do it through this pane right here. If I'm using Microsoft Word, I can hit install the Microsoft Word add-in. I'm going to go ahead and reinstall that. So there we go. Now I definitely have the Zotero plugin installed in Microsoft Word. So the next thing we can look at, there's one more advanced setting that you can do. Let me bring up my Word document again. Okay, one more Zotero setting. So if you go to the Advanced tab, and so this is a pretty, this is more of an advanced setting. This is purely optional, but there's a function that allows you to select an item that's in your library and try and find it in our library. Now to do that, you'll need to include our what's called an open URL resolver. Now if you're on campus, you can just click this search for resolvers button and it'll recognize that you're on the Covenant campus and select that for you and put in the right web address there for that service. If you're not on our campus, go to the Zotero website and click on the documentation option and then just search for Covenant Seminary, Covenant Theological Seminary. And this should come up, the first option in the search will bring up a list of all these services, and you just find ours in the list, Covenant Theological Seminary. I can right click on that address, and your web browser should give you an option to copy that link, and then you can just paste it in right there. And then that find in a library service will be tied to our resources. Okay, so that's it for the Zotero settings then. So now let's start actually using Zotero to track and manage our research. So let me go to the library homepage and find some stuff I want to bring into Zotero and use in my research. So let's start with a book, William's Far as the Curse is Found. I'm just going to do a catalog search to pull up this book. I have to go into the record for that book, so I just want to have the page showing me just information about that book. And that Zotero connector that you installed puts this button in your browser toolbar and shows up as a book here, showing that it recognizes that this is a book in a library catalog. And all I have to do is just click that button, and it's going to save that to my Zotero library. So I can see that show up right here. And you can organize your Zotero library so you have different subfolders or what they call collections. I'm working with my demo collection here, and whichever one of these you have selected is the one that'll by default save your items to. So there's one book. I've got that in here. Now it's always good to double check the information that came in. Sometimes it's not formatted exactly correctly, and when it goes to create a citation, the citation it creates is only going to be as good as the information that it has. So it's the old computer principle of garbage in, garbage out. If it doesn't have good information to work with, it's not going to produce a good citation. So it's always a good idea just to give a quick check to make sure that everything looks good. Pay particular attention, for example, to the state abbreviations. Library catalogs use different abbreviations for states, whereas when you go to cite something in your paper, you're going to want to use standard postal abbreviations. In this case, this one came out okay. I've got NJ for New Jersey. But library catalogs might use MICH for Michigan, and you'll want to change that to just MI. Now, we got a little issue here with the publisher, so it's PNR. We probably want to fill this out. Just make that say PNR Publishing. Just fill out the publisher name rather than using an abbreviation. That'll clean that up. And so that looks pretty good. You know, I've got my title. That looks fine. Zotero can handle putting it into title case as necessary. You have the author's name, last name, first name, place, publisher, date, number of pages, which is just extra information that it brings in, the ISBN, etc. So that looks good. So let's find another resource to bring in. So let's bring in a commentary. I'm going to look up Wenham's commentary on Genesis in the Word Biblical Commentary series. So there's that one. And again, I just click the Zotero toolbar button to pull that into my library. That's saving it. There we go. I go back to Zotero, and it has shown up in my library. Now this one has a little disclosure triangle next to it that says that there's some other piece of information attached to this record. In this case, it's a note. So it found this, this contents note on the library record that indicates what verses of Genesis are covered in which volume, since this is a 2-volume commentary, and has just brought that in as an extra piece of information to help me out. Now again, I'm going to want to go through and check out to make sure all the information is good. So Genesis, so we have the title, we have the author, brought in the series title. And we don't really need the series number, and this looks kind of weird how that's displayed. So I'm just going to delete that. Come down, Waco, Texas. Oh, here's a problem here. This book had 2 places of publication, but one in the place field, and it left the other one in the publisher field. Now we only need the first place mentioned, so I'm just going to delete that second place and just leave the publisher name in that field. So that looks good. Date 1987, number of pages too. It's 2 volumes. So let me get rid of that and go up here and put that in the number of volumes field. Okay, so that looks much better, much cleaner, and that's going to be able to produce a good citation for me. Let's find something a little different. Let's bring in a journal article. Let's go back to the library homepage. You scroll down to our journal databases. Click Religion and Theology, and go into the ATLA Religion database. Now here I'm going to search for an article by Jack Collins. So Collins, choose author, and this is on Ephesians 5:18 is the title of that article that I want to find. Do my search. There it is. And now to save it, I just hit this Zotero button again, and you see it changes to this like sheet of paper icon to indicate that it's recognizing this as an article. So I'll click that, it's saving it, and so I pulled in the information about the article, and then it downloaded the PDF that is available in this database and pulled that into my Zotero library. So there's the information about the article. Again, title, make sure everything looks good. Looking pretty good here. That all looks fine. And then we see what's attached, and we have the PDF attached there. I can just click this action, this locate button here, and I can view the PDF. That's going to open that up in the default PDF reading application for my computer, so whether that's Preview on a Mac or maybe Adobe Reader on a PC. And then I can use whatever tools that app provides to annotate this PDF. So if I want to select some text and highlight that, I can do that. And then when I save that document, I'll just save that. There, replacing the file. And then that will be synced up to my Zotero library so that these highlights will be saved in the cloud as well as the PDF and the information about that article. So when I go back to that PDF, my highlights are still there. It's all saved. So next, let's do a little bit of a different one. We'll still work in ATLA, but we're going to pull up an essay published in a book. So here's something else, and we look down here and it says publication type essay. So this is not an article in a periodical or a journal. This is published in a book, and that book is The Good News of the Kingdom, Mission Theology for the Third Millennium, published by Orbis in Maryknoll, New York. So I can click add that into my Zotero library using my Zotero browser toolbar button. Go back into Zotero, and there it is. Now, it hasn't gotten all the information from that record. So, it's missing, the publisher name, the place of publication. I got the date, got the page numbers for this essay. I got the book title, but it's incomplete. So I'm going to have to fill this out a little bit. Now, one thing I could do, if I go back to the record, I can search for this book in the Covenant catalog and see if this is something we have, and we do. So here's a record for the whole book that contains that essay. There's that essay right there. So I'm going to pull in this record. So it's having a little trouble, so let me revisit this page. I'm going to click through to this permalink down here, see if that helps. It does. Okay, now I've got my book icon. That looks good. Okay, so now I've got that, and it's in my library. So now I have a record, this incomplete record for that essay and the record for that whole book. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click on here and choose to duplicate the item. I just want to make a copy of this to work with, and then I'm going to merge the information from this into the record for the essay. So first I'm going to clean up some things here. I might note that, that Arthur Glasser is a contributor rather than an editor. So I can delete him from there. And then I want to change this, then this congratulatory edition thing, that doesn't seem like, it's not like a second edition or anything, so that doesn't seem like necessary information. So I'll drop that off. And then I'm going to change this to be a book section. It's going to lose some information, that's fine. Nothing too important there. And then I can select this book section, can control click on the thing I imported from the ATLA database, and then I can merge these items together. Now it's going to have me choose which one to use as my base, and we will say start with this one because it has the essay title, and then I can fill in the missing information. So place of publication, publisher, and merge. So here again, we need to get rid of Arthur there, I think. Yep, because this is a book published in his recognition. And then it has Charles Edward Engen as an editor, but he is also the author of this particular essay, so I need to have him in there as the author as well. So I create a new entry here. We're going to make an author. And it's hopefully filling out some of that information for me. So now I've got we got this edition thing there again. Let's get rid of that. And now we look, oh, that's the book record, that's why. Okay. So there we go. So we might need to pull in some of those editors. but that's good enough for now. So let's do one more. So I've also found this article that was published in an online journal. So this is the journal website. And same thing here. Zotero recognizes this site and can pull in the information about this item. So it pulls in the information, it's pulling in the PDF, since we have a subscription to this e-journal and have access. And so there we go. We have the PDF. We have the information about the article there. So I'm going to review the information, title, author. This date looks a little oddly specific, July 1st. Yeah, so it says right here, first published July 1st, but if you look at the PDF, you notice that the issue date is just July 2014, so that's all I really need in my citations. I'm just going to delete that date and just leave it at the month and year. And everything else looks pretty good there. Okay, so I've gotten some of these resources in here, and now I'm ready to start writing my paper. So I open up Microsoft Word, I have my paper, I just have some gibberish text in here, some placeholder text to work with. And installing that Microsoft Word add-in brings in this Zotero toolbar into my word processor. And this would be similar in if you're using LibreOffice, or Zotero also has support for Google Docs. And you can check the Zotero documentation about how to use Zotero with Google Docs, for instance. I'm going to work with Microsoft Word tonight just to show you the basics. So we have the Zotero toolbar that gives me the different functions for using data from Zotero in my document. The first thing I probably want to do is hit the document preferences, because this is where I choose which citation style I'm using. So I can choose either Turabian 8th edition, or I could go with Chicago manual style, the full note option. That's the one you would want to use. Turabian is just a derivative of Chicago. Either one will get you a good footnote. So I'll use Turabian for today and click OK. So now my document is set up and ready to go. So let me add my first citation. So I'll just click where I want to put in my footnote. I'll click the Add Citation button, and I get this red little window here, search box, where I can then search my Zotero library. So let me find far as the curses found and pull that in. So I pull in reference to that, and then I can click on this to add a page number, or whatever thing whatever book, chapter, verse, section, whatever I'm citing. This works on pages, so I'm going to cite page 35. Hit return. Get out of that. Now I could add in other. If I'm citing additional books or articles in this footnote, I can just start typing the next one, but that's I'm just citing the one, so I just hit return again. It adds in my footnote reference. And if I scroll down to the page, there's my citation, author, title, publication information, and the cited page number, all right there. Let's do another one. So I come along to my next sentence, and now I need to cite something different. So I'm going to, again, add my citation. I'm going to do Collins this time. And we'll do page 25 there. So return, return. And now I've got my next footnote. Let's do one more. So let's go back, and now I'm going to go back to Williams. As far as the curse is found, I'm going to cite page 86 this time. So add that in. And so you see in this case, it does a shortened citation. So I've already cited it once in full in my paper, so the next time it can do a shortened citation where it's just author and short title and then the page number. This short title comes from the Zotero record. I go to the record there, there's a short title field. So if I want the short title to be something else, if I want it to be even shorter or just change it in some way, I can do that right here and it'll use that instead. But by default, it's just going to lop off the subtitle and go with the main title. That's your short title. So let's do one more. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to cite Williams again. So add another citation there. This time page 52. Return. And you can see it'll even do an ibid, which just means Latin for in the same place, just shorthand for look at the previous footnote and go to this page number instead. So it takes care of formatting your citations for you. Now we can do another one. So let's do something different now. Come find another spot where I need to add a citation. Click that Add Citation button. And this time we'll cite Wenham. And maybe I'm doing volume 1, page 42. And I've got that there. Now I look at this and, oh, it did not put the series title in title case. So let's see if we can fix that. So let's go to Zotero. Let's go here. And I guess I'm going to have to manually put this in title case. So I'll just make that capital B, capital C. And then I can go back to my Word document and click refresh. And I'll rebuild all my footnotes. And now it's in title case. Now let's move along and, so I've got some citations in here and now I'm ready to build a bibliography. So I come to my bibliography page, put in my heading bibliography and put my cursor wherever I want my bibliography to appear. And I can click the Add Bibliography button. And then I'll just go through my paper, find all the resources that I've cited and put them into a bibliography in alphabetical order. Now let's say I need to make another change to one of my footnotes. Say, oh, this quote I pulled actually spans pages 35 to 36. So I need to edit this. So instead of editing what's here, you see how it's highlighted in gray. So that means there's some coding underneath going on in Microsoft Word that allows Zotero to keep my citations up to date if I change something in my Zotero library. So there's some codes there that are linking it to my Zotero library that are just hidden. And if I make a change here, then next time I go to refresh my citations, it could overwrite any changes I put here. So instead, I just want to click within this citation and click the Add Edit Citation button. So it's both functions. So I can edit that citation, go in here and say, okay, this needs to be 35 to 36. And then I update it that way. Now the last thing I want to do is say I'm all done my paper. I've written my paper, I've got my citations in here, I've got my bibliography, I'm all done. And I want it ready to turn this in. I may want to get rid of these underlying codes just so my professor doesn't have to see that if I'm submitting this as a Word document, or maybe I'm sending this to someone to proofread or something like that. So a good thing would be to, first of all, save a copy of the document. So you have your your final draft saved and then create a new copy to turn in. So just do a file save as. and then you click this unlinked citations button. And what that's going to just pull all of those underlying codes out of the document and just leave your citations as plain bare text in your document. So I get this note that, yeah, removing these codes will prevent Zotero from updating my citations and bibliographies in this document. I'll continue. And that's just important because once you do that step, then you can't go back. You can't reconnect them. If you need to add something in Zotero, again, then it's going to mess up your bibliography and could mess up your footnotes in some way. That's why it's always nice to have a duplicate copy with those underlying codes still in place in case you do need to make a change, but have a separate copy without those linked citations to turn in. So that's it. So that's the basics of using Zotero, from installing to managing and tracking your research, being able to organize your research, keep track of what you're reading for each paper. You can create a different collection for each assignment or each class, whatever organization system works for you. And then coming into your word processor and adding citations and your bibliography. If you have any questions about using Zotero, give the library a call, send us an email, and we'll see if we can help you out with that.